Welcome to another Malakai.World video. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more. Today I had the pleasure of talking to Kathy Reichs, the creator of the Bones TV series and book series and the Virals young adult series. I started by asking her how tightly she writes in the different formats she is active in.
The amount of tightening that I do on my stories depends on what I'm writing. If I'm writing a screenplay for the television show Bones, they're very tight, obviously. You have to get a lot into one single page, and it's all narrative. If I'm writing a Temperance Brennan novel for adults, it's a lot looser. I outline maybe the first few chapters and then it's free flow. Since I write the young adult series, Virals, with my son, there are two of us working, so we do a lot of outlining. We outline the entire book, and that because he writes parts and then I write parts, and then we coordinate and edit.
I also wanted to know what it's like writing with other people.
When I wrote my first novel, usually every novel, it's all by myself, all alone, sitting at the keyboard. So writing with a co-author or co-authors was a very new experience for me. I write Virals with my son, so there's two of us. So there are some things I'm better at, the science parts. There are some things he's better at, dialogue for young people, for kids. So he writes some parts, I write some parts, then we have editorial meetings. I do editing, which he calls destroying his art. And then we have editorial meetings and discuss our creative differences. And it always works out. It can get a little heated, but it always works out. Writing for television is very collaborative. When you start to do a screenplay, any one episode, you break the story in the writer's room with a whole group of writers. And for a whole week, you just brainstorm ideas and throw them back and forth. And for me, since I'm used to working alone, that's really stimulating.
I asked her for advice on building exciting stories.
It's hard to say what's good advice for choosing a storyline or a setting or creating a character. I think part of that is just instinct. I think part of that is keeping your antennae out for what's going to be on the horizon a year or 2 years down the road when you finish your book. So in my case, it was forensic science. When I wrote the first book, I just had a sense that was going to be a good arena to visit, as we would call it in television writing. And we always try to visit a new arena that we think would be interesting to viewers or to readers. Maybe something that they've heard of but really don't know a whole lot about.
I also asked her about building interesting characters.
It's hard for me to put my finger on exactly what makes a character durable or likable, or what makes a character, in the case of Temperance Brennan, she's in 37 different languages. She has had appeal all over the world. What is it that makes that character globally attractive? I think part of it is she's smart. She's tough. I think part of it is she's female, and we've come into an era where female heroines are very popular, which is great for young girls growing up. And part of it is she's not perfect. She's got flaws, so she's approachable. I think the reader can identify with her in many ways.
I was intrigued at finding out if she'd like to let go of control.
While I've created the character of Temperance Brennan, I made her up. I kind of based her on myself. And I believe legally she belongs to me. For example, when we made the TV show Bones, they had to option the character from me. I had the legal right to sell the use of the character to her. On the other hand, I love reading fan fiction, where fans just take my character and create stories with her. I believe that's done for a nonprofit reason. So there are a lot of complicating legal factors that come into the question of who owns a character. But I think it's always fun if you've got a character and take her, and what would you have done if you were the author who had in fact originally created that character?
And then she offered this crucial tip for aspiring writers.
I hear from a lot of kids through emails and through public appearances coming to my event that they want to be a writer, and they say, what should I do to be a successful writer? And I think the primary thing I tell them is write. Find that block of time, whether it's 1 hour a day or it's 1 hour a week, whatever it is, sit down and write. And don't allow yourself to be fooled by writer's block. ignore it. Even if you're not in the mood to write that day, sit down and write. You control the delete key. If you don't like what you wrote that day, you can always get rid of it, but you can't just fall into that, oh, the muses aren't with me today, I'm not going to write mode of thinking. So that would be my primary piece of advice. If you want to be a writer, you've got to write.
I hope you had a good time. Visit Malakai.World for more videos and content for you to interact with and explore.